We're live. Volume 3.
Wow, time flies.
Still don't have a picture? No video? Come on, man.
I'm kind of liking my shadowy image in the clouds.
So mysterious.
I'm just getting ready for the next moonshot.
You're like Tone Vase hanging out in the woods.
Oh, yeah. Get the axes. That was an awesome pick. So, what do you want to talk about today, man? I guess we'll talk about Grin and the other stuff on Thursday.
Yeah, originally we were going to talk about Mimblewimble because I think it's the 2-year anniversary. Just thought it'd be appropriate. But I reached out to Knife of Pie. He's the Cake Wallet dev.
Nice.
And because I saw a Reddit post and he was talking about it. He was talking about Grin, which I guess is an implementation of Mimblewimble.
Right.
And he seemed to really know his stuff. So I'm thinking we have him on the show. He said he'd do it Thursday.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Could ask some questions.
All right.
But so you have a few days to study. But yeah, in the meantime, we could just well, it was nice that we got some subscribers since our first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. People actually like listening to us.
I think they don't have a choice. There's nothing else out there.
They must be pretty desperate.
It's literally by default. If you search Monero on YouTube.
All right, we're gonna have to keep things interesting and keep them coming.
No, I think there's plenty to talk about. I mean, as long as I think even if we just talk about what's going on in Bitcoin land, obviously anything that happens there is going to affect us here.
Yeah, I mean, just the price gain, like from news on an ETF.
Yeah, so I think that's a good topic. So what do you think about? Is that you think that's what's affecting the price right now?
I feel like it has to be because there's really been nothing else on the Reddit or Twitter sphere, nothing that I've seen that would explain just this steady climb. And it's a lot like when we had this steady climb going from 900 to 1400 last year, and everyone was excited about the Winklevoss ETF. And, it was climbing every day a little bit. We were going up like 10 to 50 bucks a day. And then on the rejection, it was just like, boom.
Yeah. When was that? That was.
We had 2 of those moments last year. One was early in the year. One was way earlier last year. I forget. It had to be early spring. Maybe it was like March, April. I got to look. That's how I feel. I didn't look at the exact dates though. Okay. But that we had the same kind of building of momentum, and that's what we're seeing here now. So I would attribute it pretty much just to everyone hoping for positive news. What is it, August 10th? I think it's coming out. They're supposed to make some sort of announcement.
Yeah, it's pretty. I think the comment session is over, and then I don't know when the announcement comes out. I think in August, right?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying. Originally, everyone thought that a decision would be made by early August, but now it looks like they'll just either let us know if it's rejected outright or if they're still reviewing, but we probably won't get like a green light in August.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me change my... Does it sound better? Different now?
That does sound different.
Sound better? Worse?
Go back to the other way. It was sounding fine before.
Hello.
I like that one better.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the internal mic because I got this fancy microphone. So you're saying that a regular thing works better than the... That sucks.
Yeah, I guess, man. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
I'm doing the anyway. I don't care.
There you go. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
It's a little louder, but
you know what I think's interesting, like, because we've talked about this before, like TA just always seems to match up with actual events, right? So, I mean, you've studied the TA a little bit.
That used to drive me nuts when Tone would just be like, see, my 9 did this and my 9 did that. And it's like, well, your 9 lined up with the ETF announcement. Like.
Well, that's what seems like is about to happen now because he has us going down to 5,000 or below, right?
Yeah, he was saying 5K will be the new floor, and then 4,800 is where we should see a bounce. If we fall through there, 1,300.
Yeah, and I think he's saying within like the next few weeks is when we would like start to drop back down, which seems to be in perfect timing with
Yeah, an
the
ETF
ETF
rejection.
rejection.
Right. I mean, I don't think if an ETF gets rejected, we normally don't see like a 50% correction from it. We saw like, what was it, like a 15, maybe 20% correction from the Winklevoss rejection.
Yeah, it was a pretty good drop, and then I remember it like bounced right back, right?
Yeah, exactly. We take the elevator down and the stairs back.
Right.
But I don't think it is funny though how it will always coincide with a fundamentally driven event, like some news event.
Yeah,
Um,
what is that? What's going on there? So
well,
is that's
because
what TA is essentially? I mean, TA is just statistics,
well,
but
TA, yeah, I mean TA encompasses a lot of things. It's really just the emotion of the market, but it's like the shoe fits so wide because Tone has made, and all of them make plenty of calls that are wrong. And it's like, oh, well, when you're wrong, you're wrong. And you pretend you never made it. And then when you're right, see, I told you, So when you have that kind of angle, it's like everybody just remembers when you were right because that's the only one you focus on and you go back to. I mean, Tone was calling for us to drop to 1,300 the last time China banned Bitcoin when we went from 5 to 3. He was calling for 13. He's like 3K we need to turn it around at 3K. We're going right to 13. And a lot of people that listened to him probably sold and waited for under 3 and they never got there and they missed the rise to 20. So,
right.
he's calling it again. It's basically because that was the last time we made a new all-time high and then didn't retest it and come back. It's literally the only reason. Looking at a chart, we've retested every all-time high except for that one rise to 1,300. We never came back and actually tested that. And that's all he's going on. So I can't imagine now how widespread Bitcoin is. You need a catastrophic event to hit 1,300. I mean, like Trump would have to say we're banning Bitcoin and like imprisoning people. There's really like no way to get the price down to 1,300 for more than maybe a day, and you need real bad news to do that.
Never say never in Bitcoin, man. Are
Yeah,
you
well,
kidding
that's
me?
true. That's true. But you would need like, listen, we could hit 1,300. How? Maybe if they found a flaw in the
Dude,
protocol.
even if it hits 1,300, though, it's not that big a deal. Still,
I mean, it's a huge deal for people that jumped in the last year. Because
Yeah. So
everybody,
they'll get wrecked. They'll
right,
they'll they'll walk away from Bitcoin for a year,
right, a
which
couple,
is the
yeah,
exact opposite of what they should be doing. Because that would be the time when they should start like really
oh
throwing
yeah.
money in.
Well, but that's also an educational thing too. Like Mike Daly, one of my coworkers, Daly. He
Yeah.
when he first got in, he was having a very tough time going against the grain. I'm like, buy on the dips. And so, when we went from like 8K, and we started dropping, he wanted 5. And when we got close to 5, he wanted 3. I'm like, dude, just pull the trigger and get in. And then, you end up buying way higher because it's very hard to go against the herd. It's like so unnatural, you know? And so a lot of people just don't do it. Even if they know better, they second guess, they don't buy it.
I kind of enjoy the bear market, man. Just like the last one too.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just
you're
it's
crazy.
less stressful. Watching like I'm more affected by FOMO than by watching the price go down. FOMO is what gets me all like worked up.
Oh, well, that's true too. I mean, now like we don't even look at the
But
price.
then even if I don't have any money to throw in, it's like the FOMO is just killing me anyway. It's like, what else? What can I do? Sell my car? Like
Yeah, how do I
when the
get more of
price
it
is
while it's
going
going
down,
up?
I'm just like, all right, I'll be
Yeah,
able
that's
to
pretty
buy
true.
more. Yeah.
You're a contrarian. I mean,
Well, I just see it as like the ship leaving port when the price is going up. And when the price is going down, it's like, all right, there's still time. There's still
yeah,
time. Get
everyone
on
on
board.
board.
Yeah. But how do you see the ETF, whether, let's say it will eventually get, right? If not this go around, at some point it will.
Oh God, I mean,
You-
eventually we'll have an ETF. Yeah, absolutely.
Is is that going to raise all ships, or is it like, will that be the moment where Bitcoin
Pulls
moonshots
away.
to the degree that no other coins can keep up, and it's just is that become like the turning point for Bitcoin?
No, I think well, we always assume Bitcoin eventually is just going to pull away from all these garbage alts. I think the major problem is they're so illiquid and low volume that like Bitcoin is going to rally, and all it takes is like some guy, some nut that's like, yeah, I just made, I doubled my money. Let me put, X amount into Substratum coin or Cream coin from Ghostface Killa. you know, and like they end up going up even more than Bitcoin. It's hilarious. So I don't know if that would pull Bitcoin away. It'd probably raise all ships, but I think the price of Bitcoin will go absolutely nuts. I think
Yeah,
it'll
I think there'll
definitely.
be I mean, because I'm all Monero, which is kind of scary. Only for that moment, right? Because long term, I'm 100% like fine, like
Yeah,
psychologically and what I believe in. But it's gonna get scary. For example, like if an ETF gets approved, because it's just gonna accelerate faster than everything else. And then
yeah,
you'll be watching the Bitcoin to Monero ratio
right, right. Yeah, you
kind of
could.
plummet.
It would make sense for Bitcoin to pull away fundamentally, but we've seen the market behave so irrationally that,
Right.
you know, like no one can understand it. It just alts do better when Bitcoin rocks the world with some, you know, groundbreaking stuff. Alts go up. It's like more than Bitcoin. So, you know, I think an ETF does a lot of things, and I think the major thing would probably be, you know, the SEC has to approve the Bitcoin ETF, and so if they do approve it, it adds legitimacy as an asset class, you know, and so you have not just Bitcoin, but that means why not other cryptocurrencies getting an ETF, you know, and like all of a sudden you'll see pushes for Ethereum and maybe one day Monero down the road, like I think overall it's just positive for the entire crypto sector.
Yeah.
And then the amount of new money that can flow in. One of the biggest barriers to entry, like even again, I'll reference Daly. You know, he wants to buy Monero. He likes Monero more than Bitcoin, but he's not tech literate, and he's just terrified that he'll do something wrong running his own, you know, Monero node. And you know he does it, and he's got an Android, and I recommended Cake Wallet, but it's iPhone only. Maybe we get Knife of Pie to start deving Android.
I think they're
Yeah,
working on it.
yeah, hopefully. But you know, again, like you also want control of your private keys and stuff, which Cake Wallet does, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, totally.
yeah. So you know, I think the custodial solution is also a huge step forward for the SEC. You know, approving an ETF. You now have people holding your Bitcoin, which goes against the fundamentals of being your own bank. But there's so many people that are just not ready to do that, that are so entrenched in the way things have been done, buying stock and you know trusting the New York Stock Exchange and just everything else. I don't think a lot of people are ready to be in control of their life savings, where if they were to mess something up, they lose it all. So I
Yeah,
think
they're like, who do I call?
exactly, like where's the CEO of Bitcoin? I need a
Right.
press release. You know? So you know, I see nothing but positives. Sure, there'll be another new way to short Bitcoin, but you know, we already have futures for that, and that doesn't seem to be dampening the price of Bitcoin too much. It's not tremendously high volume on Bitcoin futures, so I think an ETF would be just a net good for crypto, and I think we could easily double or triple Bitcoin. That'll probably be the next all-time high. That or Lightning actually resolving, you know, payments once they figure out routing, and like there's way less friction on a Bitcoin transaction. One
Yeah.
of those two things will make a new all-time high, and I
Yeah,
think they're
that's
both.
crazy.
Yeah,
I think an ETF more than even though Lightning makes sense more in terms of like technology and it's actually obviously much more of a breakthrough and meaningful than an ETF. It's just an ETF is just a new way for money to flow into the
right.
market.
Well,
Yeah.
think about so like on an ETF, you have a pile of cash moving to Bitcoin, which
Hmm.
obviously will jack the price up. But with Lightning, if it becomes you know less costly than Visa on instant transactions, then you're going to have a lot. You're going to have a much higher adoption rate, and then you're creating new holders because people, as the supply is decreasing from people spending it and other people now holding it, the demand is going to increase for the adoption of it, and the supply is going to drop dramatically. And so you might actually see just as big of a gain from Lightning actually working as intended. Like imagine if Amazon accepts it and then
Hmm.
sees how the price is just going way up from the announcement and says, you know what, we'll do it Overstock does. We're going to hold half of our every sale we make in crypto, we're keeping half of it in crypto. I mean,
Right.
the demand will just, you know, skyrocket and the supply will disappear and we'll have a crazy run like we did, you know, in
Yeah.
December with Bitcoin.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna spend their Bitcoin on
Right. Well,
Amazon
exactly.
anyway.
But you know what I mean, though. Like as people are holding it, and just the
Yeah.
demand is going to skyrocket with no supply, you have just this huge price jump.
Right. 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 Right.
You know.
I mean, what's interesting too, though, this go around, a lot of the Bitcoin pump from last time was people buying Bitcoin so they could get other coins too, because that was the only way to get other coins.
Right.
So I think I think now there's other ways to get those coins directly, though, right? I mean, a
Well,
little
there's
more
new
than there
fiat
was last.
there. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be interesting too for the next bull market, because I think people might start buying these other coins directly with fiat.
Yeah. I mean,
Obviously, it'd be nice if Monero became one of those. I
yeah. I
mean,
think crack.
it's happening a little bit, right? But
Yeah,
we're
we
not on
need that.
Coinbase,
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like we're not on Coinbase. We're not on Gemini. And those are your two biggest on ramps in the U.S. So until we get one of those, like they're adopting Zcash now,
right?
which is kind of interesting in that they're saying they're adopting it because they won't allow private transactions to and fro, defeating the purpose of Zcash. But we'll see. I mean, there are ways to monitor the on and off ramps using Monero. They could still just request, you know, what is it? The extra information showing which wallets. You could have view keys, whatever
Hmm.
you do. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like we're in terms of the environment. Everybody's scared of regulation right now with all the things that are being discussed in these committees, these congressional committees.
yeah, with limited understanding of it.
But like in crypto, you never know. Like there could be an announcement that Coinbase is adding, right? When everybody's like moving in one, thinking this whole thing is moving in one
Yeah,
direction.
this
Maybe
market
what's
has been for
actually
that.
happening behind the scenes is moving in another. Like maybe the talk of regulation is. I don't know. I mean, do you think we're further away from Coinbase than ever, or
No, I think
closer
I
than ever?
think honestly, Ricardo gave a talk at Coinbase.
That was like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah, and they asked him, how could Monero jive with our procedures and stuff like that? And at the time, Monero needed a few things like multi-sig because Coinbase isn't going to have one key, to their wallet where one rogue employee could just walk off with $10 billion in Monero. So, multi-sig was a big part of that. And I think even now, Monero's multi-sig is, two of three. I don't think it's M of N yet. So I don't even know if that jives with Coinbase's custodial practices. But that would be the next biggest hurdle. So when they have that, I think Coinbase is starting to run out of reasons why not to add Monero. But
Yeah,
until then, I totally understand it.
yeah. Remember they had published that document detailing what
Right.
aspects essentially they want a coin to have,
Yeah, their criteria. Let me
their
look.
criteria. And I like Monero seemed to be the perfect fit. I don't even know where it didn't check a box.
It was definitely like how they could store it because it didn't have multi-sig at the time, and even now, I think it's just two of three.
So you think it may technically not be ready to be added because of the
Yeah, just for
multi-sig?
exactly, just for storing. Um, Digital asset framework. That's what Coinbase released.
And now these other coins that they're at, like some of them, like there was one I never even heard of.
That was purely a pump and dump, like that was a coin they could just load up on and they're just gonna dump it on the user base as people just as like the mama bees of the world. They're like, oh, this new coin's on there. It's only 1 cent. Let me buy a million. Like it'll go up. It'll
The
do like
Mama B. Nobody knows who Mama B is. That's funny.
yeah, no,
I
no,
know who
that's
Mama B is.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's like your average Joes come on,
Right.
and they have no idea what they're looking at. They see cheap coins, they think that's great, that's a deal, just
Did
like
it
Ripple.
did
And
it like 3x when they added it? I didn't even look.
well, it's not added yet. It's
Oh
like
no, but like
they're
when the
planning to add
rumor,
it.
I'm
Oh,
assuming
oh
it
yeah,
pumped.
I'm sure it probably went up because it's probably such a low liquid, low volume coin. It
Right.
probably went up like 100%. I saw like Zcash went up what 15 or 20% on the news. Um, I'm sure these no-name coins went up even higher because nobody has them. Like Vertcoin, remember you and I could dent the market with like $1,000.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I would think Monero would be right up their alley though because of the low cap. you know, and Monero's volume on trading is low enough to where they could actually accumulate a ton of it, you know, and kind of steer the price a little bit. It does fit their narrative.
Well, I mean, their narrative should be adding real cryptocurrencies.
They added Ethereum.
Yeah.
They lost.
It's unbelievable. Like they're like the main company in crypto.
Well, Brian Armstrong's a huge Ethereum fan. He's the CEO of Coinbase,
Right. He
and
owns a
he
lot of
loaded up
Ethereum.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he owns a ton of it, and then they added it, and so I mean, that's how he does things. You know, they accumulate, they add, they dump.
Right.
So I'm sure, you know, the fact that they added Bitcoin Cash, I think it was twofold. At the time, I think Armstrong, I mean, Coinbase had a real problem the way they were storing money. Remember, they had all those little inputs, like they had tons of micro amounts that they were like, oh my God, with block size not getting increased, it's going to cost us more to combine and send the transactions than they're actually worth. So
Hmm.
Coinbase had a huge problem, and Bitcoin Cash would have solved it because they're like, oh, never-ending block space. It'll get us out of this mess now, and then we'll just ruin Bitcoin later. Who cares? We're big Ethereum fans. So that's why, one, I think they added it because they were hoping Bitcoin Cash would actually take over and get them out of that jam, which it didn't. And then two, I think he was hoping that it would also hurt Bitcoin and drive up Ethereum as, you know, it's in its market dominance. You know, so it was like a two-pronged approach to trying to slight Bitcoin. And I think now they realize, like, after they failed miserably, only then did he come around to adding Segwit on their platform. So
Hmm.
yeah, as Monero and Bitcoin users, we should hate Coinbase.
Seriously. And the thing is, by the time if they eventually do add Monero, like the pump that you're going to get, because I mean,
Right.
every time after they add a new coin, it's like it loses its luster. Being
Sure.
added to Coinbase's
Yeah, it'll be one of a path
eventually
eventually.
won't lead to much of a pump. But I think for Monero, it will, just because it's going to be such a big deal. Because now that's kind of opening the floodgates. Because it's pretty hard to get Monero
Yeah, I mean,
with cash.
you know what was cool too was when BitHum in South Korea added Monero.
Yeah,
And, you
that
know,
was
the
insane.
price went absolutely nuts because you had this massive exchange that was finally adding it. I mean, before then, you didn't have really any exchanges that dealt with fiat directly that had Monero on there. Like, you know, you had to use either like Poloniex or HitBTC, you know. And so once a huge exchange legitimized it like that, we saw a massive rally. I
Hmm.
think Coinbase could still deliver on that, even if we're like the 20th coin added. You know, I think it would just ease so many people's concerns about buying Monero, worried about whether it's legal, you know, like, is this thing going to get banned? But if exchanges start leading the way and implementing it, I think that would put a lot of people at ease.
Right. It's not just that it's going to be a new way to buy Monero. It's going to show that the industry is ready for
Right.
Monero. Like, yeah, it's going to overcome those regulation concerns as well.
Yeah.
Why do you think the volume is so low on Polo for Monero and in general? Right.
Well, yeah,
Like,
well, Polo's volume is way down from last year, but that was because, you know, they started going after all the legacy accounts. They wanted verification. Their user base shrank big time.
so do you? But is volume low in general for Monero? Like,
No,
just
you know what? It's
trading
just
volume?
on Polo. It is. I actually haven't looked. Because, you know, I buy and hold now. I don't even try to trade.
Yeah.
You
No, but
know.
I feel like that's what most people. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm kind of leading to. Is I think a lot of people just are just buying Monero and holding it
Well,
versus.
that would still be shown in the volume of it. But, you know, I think also what you got to look at is not hit BTC. What's the biggest? Jesus, I'm having a mental blank. The biggest exchange, crypto exchange in the world right now. Tone
I don't
Vays
know.
mentioned every day. Jesus. What the hell was it? Not BitHum. I don't know. I can't believe I can't think of this right now. But
Whatever.
Binance. Yeah, why can't?
Binance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, Binance took a huge amount of the trading market over.
How long has Binance been the biggest exchange?
They came around summer of last year, I think, is when, you know, they started to build traction, and towards the end of last year, they just became enormous. You know, because they were like, at first they were like, listen, you know, we don't need account verification. They were kind of like Hit BTC, but they had a lot more trading pairs. And they didn't screw people. I know a lot of people that sent money or tried to withdraw money on Hit BTC. where there were glitches and like there's just their balances are gone, and they lost a few G's. So
Well, you
um,
thought that was legit? I thought that was just rumors.
no, that happened to one of my friends that I went to Austin with on a bachelor party. He called me flipping out, and he was like, "Dude, how do I get this back?" I'm like, "You're your own bank, man. You must have missent it." He's like, "I didn't, I swear." And he was
Holy
going
shit!
nuts. So um, it happens. He was dealing with some crap coin though. I don't even remember what it was, but it was probably that the actual coin sucked so badly it probably wasn't even HitBT's fault.
Right.
You never know with these stupid shit coins.
Mm.
They're not tested.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think about the talk of banning encryption in general? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I mean that blew my mind.
I mean, not all encryption, but related
Right,
to
like ring CT,
yeah,
just actual encryption. They're like, this is when you are encrypting it, it's actually encrypted, and we can't decrypt it, so we should ban it. Like I thought that was hilarious. It's like you're literally starting an argument to ban encryption, not just some types of encryption, because your argument is it's too good. That's what encryption's supposed to be. Because if it's not too, if it's either too good enough or not good enough. It's that simple. And they're saying this is good enough to where we can't really trace it. Well, I'm sorry, that's what encryption's supposed to be.
yeah. I think it's the fact that they're actually having that discussion is
Yeah,
scary.
it's a lot of people were equating it to suppressing free speech.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yep. Well, there was they mentioned Covry too, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that means they're really looking at Monero.
Yeah, the fact that they knew about. I mean, I guess it's not that hard to. But
Yeah, they could just get taglines from a Google search,
yeah,
like ban everything in the first paragraph. But Covry's pretty wild stuff. I don't know what the timeline is on that, but I think they're realizing like somebody that works in their IT department is probably like, if we don't stop it now, once it's out of the bag. There's no putting it back in. Genie's out of the bottle. Like we can't even figure out who's running Monero nodes anymore because it's all I2P and we have no idea where anything's going.
yeah. We'll get into that on Thursday too when we have knife of pie.
Oh, you want to talk about Kovri too?
Well, I mean, we could do a whole separate thing on it, but we could talk about it because I mean, it's kind of an element, right? It's one of the elements that Monero you is utilize or will utilize to have true privacy, whereas
Well, that's a no.
Wimble kind of does everything in one felt swoop.
Well, I mean, Kovri's more for node protection,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I mean, Mimblewimble, I don't know that I guess like they would actually look to add Kovri to, like Grin as node protection, right? Because as far as I know, and I just started looking into Mimblewimble recently, so I mean, as far as I know, they don't do any node protection. It's more amount obfuscation, and that
Mm-hmm.
there are no addresses. Everything's sent to, just based on inputs, encrypted inputs and outputs.
Right.
But we'll
I'm
get into
not.
that on Thursday. Let's not
Yeah,
go
yeah,
down
yeah,
that
yeah.
road.
Let's get into that. Let's get into that on Thursday.
But yeah, Kovri, I'll look into Kovri more. I just remember it's literally they call it I2PD because it's a Java implementation of I2P. And I guess we could talk about how that's different than Tor, which is
Yeah,
onion routing. But
and that's supposed to be around the corner, right? I mean, Monero land
everything
around the
seems that
corner
way. Yeah,
could be a year.
I mean, in
It's
crypto
probably a year
land,
away.
it's not just Monero land. In crypto land, I mean, especially for
Yeah,
Monero, like
yeah, yeah.
Ledger, we're going to have Monero integration of Ledger within the next 1 to 3 months. 8 months later, yeah, we're going to have it soon. It's like
That was such a weird. They didn't. It wasn't really like ever launched either, right? Like, don't we have it now?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, I have a Ledger. I'll plug it in. I remember it was under like the developer tools, and I'm like, I'm not trusting. I run my own node on Monero. My funds are fine. I would love to throw it on my Ledger just so I could just get rid of it all, and just leave it on a box. But
Yeah, I think they were waiting for the GUI update, right? I don't.
I
I don't have
haven't
one,
followed
so I
it.
don't know. But like, it felt like it just never had. Like everyone's like, yeah, it just never happened though.
It's not launched until I have it. Like, I'm a pretty active user. I understand how to like run everything on my own node. If I'm afraid to use the Ledger for it right now, no
Right.
one's using it. I mean,
So what's the hold up with that? What's going on?
I mean, the way they launched it, they're like, listen, it's only accessible under the developer tools, and there was a reason for it. And once I saw it, I'm like, there was so it was like a little glitchy, and so I'm like, I'm not even risking sending Monero to this thing yet. Like, no rush on it. So it fizzled out. It would be the way it comes out though, just like dribbles out. That's how
Yeah.
Monero does it.
Well, the best was Cake Wallet, man.
Oh yeah.
Nobody even saw that one coming.
Just one day, hey, so we got this iOS wallet.
Yeah, everybody, we would have still been waiting for like an iOS wallet.
Dude,
if Cake wasn't secretly working on one.
Yeah, that was really ridiculous, especially.
And then when he launched Monero being Monero, it was just like, oh, it's a scam. Nobody trusted it.
Yeah, closed source.
Yeah. But yeah, he made it open source right away.
Oh, well, that was the best though. That's when you really. That's why I love the Monero community. I mean, everyone's just yelling, screaming for an iOS wallet. Vic comes out with one out of nowhere, blindsides the community. Then they say, well, it's closed source, scam alert, not trusting it. He says, fine, I'll make it open source. Yeah, well, it's on Apple's, on Apple iTunes. Like you literally can't tell if the open source is what you're actually downloading. So it's still a scam.
Well, that's why we met Vic. That's why because we reached out to him out of complete disbelief. And we're like, we got to meet the guy who did this. Because I'm just old school. Like, I'm absolutely. Which in Monero, I mean, it's hard to like sometimes put a name and face to a development, but I'm like, if I'm going to be using this thing, I want to see that it's legit.
Yeah, we got to
reached out to Vic, and he was like, yeah, no problem. Let's meet for a beer. Which, full disclosure, we just personally love Vic. He's a great guy.
Very nice guy.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was one of the better Monero moments. Cake Wallet had a left field.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And what I love too is, I mean, like he didn't benefit at all from it, except for the fact that he wanted to he loves the concept behind Monero, wants to get involved. Like all the Monero development is done almost like either on just pure fundraising. It's not like Zcash where, 10% of all mining rewards go to a dev.
Yeah. Which is, it's people are literally just doing it for the love of the protocol. I mean, as they develop, obviously they benefit if they own Monero, but yeah, they're not getting that payment. But that was one of the questions that I asked Fluffy Pony at the party when I had Vic. I was standing there with Vic. I was like, how did Vic? I'm like, this guy who nobody had heard of. He never mentioned that he was working on anything in Monero. And out of the blue, he launches the iOS wallet that we're all waiting for. And he beat you guys to it.
What did Fluffy say?
No, Fluffy I thought was a great answer. I mean, I don't know if he's full of shit. I think he comes across pretty genuine though. He was saying he was basically saying that he was really happy to see that somebody else stepped up and built that component, the iOS wallet.
Damn, he's good.
Just because, well, his whole point being that he doesn't, he doesn't want it to be him and a few of the other guys that are essentially controlling the entire ecosystem and launching all the technology. It's like let some other people step up, and obviously in an effort to make things more distributed. So I don't know. It's not that maybe not that he consciously did anything, but I think maybe they weren't putting the pedal to the metal with the iOS wallet. They were kind of hoping somebody else would
I mean, that seems pretty plausible to me.
Yeah.
Considering their dev team is just so insanely talented.
Yeah.
That if they really wanted an iOS wallet, they would have done it. And
because there was all that holdup with like getting approved by Apple, but that ended up taking forever. It was strange.
Yeah, there was that, and then he also wants to stop being the captain of the ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Atari add-on.
Yeah, which I think is a good move.
Legit. Yeah.
All right, man. I say we try to keep we got to get these shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
We should try to keep
focused.
Yeah, keep them down to like.
I love that we started with the Bitcoin ETF. That was supposed to be a combo. Now
all over the place.
Zcash for dev miner rewards.
All over the place.
Always. All right,
but I'll see you on Thursday.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, later. Peace. Bye.